Hello, movie lovers. How are you, everybody? My name is Dimitri Panos, and here episode of KDM, which stands for Kit Dimitri Movies, and of course, Kit standing for Kit Bowen, my good friend, and my awesome co-host, who I couldn't do this show without. And this is hi, Kit. How are you?
Hi, Dimitri. Yes, of course, my lovely co-host for KDM, Dimitri Panos, right here, folks.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. And today we have a special episode. And just going to warn you right off top because I think it's worthy. We're probably going to talk about some spoilers. I think it's very to do a show that we do, which usually runs about 40 minutes. Today we may be going a little bit over because this is a superhero Marvel movie. And I think with our thoughts and opinions on this one, we try to go a little bit deeper. And I think to back up a lot of what we may have to say, we're going to have to point to some plot details in the movie that you may consider as spoilers. So, put it on pause. We don't want to ruin. I never want to ruin, and I know Kit, you're in the same boat. We never want to ruin a movie going experience for you with a spoiler. Let other places do that. We will aptly warn you so that you can go watch the movie without our input and then come back and watch it and then hear the spoilers and then go and then decide for yourself, like, okay, that either makes sense or it doesn't make sense. Again, we'll start off. You can always, we love your comments. We keep it open for all. So you can tell us what you think. We'll remind you about that at the end of the movie. Today's movie is, we're talking about The Marvels. This is, from what I understand, the 33rd movie within the MCU. I believe it's the 33rd if I read the press notes correctly. I'm still learning how to read, so I might have that wrong. In any case, so we are going to be talking about The Marvels. This is the sequel to Captain Marvel, which has Brie Larson in the role of Carol Danvers, who is Captain Marvel. This is the sequel to that movie. And as I always love to start off, trying to be a gentleman, I always believe in ladies first and holding doors open for them. So I open the door, hold it open. Kit, please.
So not only is it a sequel to Captain Marvel, but it also now incorporates Monica Rambeau, who we were introduced to in WandaVision. And she two Disney Plus series. So WandaVision introduced Monica and how she got her powers. And then, which I didn't get a chance to see, Miss Marvel, which introduces the third in this little Marvels trio here. What's her name? Something Khan. I'm blanking. Melinda? No. What's her name in the movie? Kamala.
Kamala Khan.
Kamala Khan, played by Iman Vellani, and then Monica Rambeau is Tiana Paris, and of course, Brie Larson. Also, we've got Samuel L. Jackson's returning as Nick Fury. And then we've got a cast of other characters. I guess the parents of Kamala and her brother, who I'm sure were probably featured pretty prominently in the series Miss Marvel. The basic premise. Let's see if I can try to pin this down.
I do have the basic premise. Okay. And I got this from the press notes because Carol Danvers, aka Captain Marvel, has reclaimed her identity from the tyrannical Kree and taken revenge on the Supreme Intelligence. But unintended consequences see Carol shouldering the burden of a destabilized universe, and when her duties send her to an anomalous wormhole linked to a Kree revolutionary, her powers become entangled with that of Jersey City superfan Kamal Khan, aka Miss Marvel, as you just said, and Carol's estranged niece, now Saber, Saber, astronaut Captain Monica Rambeau. Together, this unlikely trio must team up and learn to concert to save the universe, and they do so as the Marvels. That's the best I can do.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
So my opinion.
I mean, it's a hard movie to sum up.
Think get
For
it.
yeah.
That's one of my issues with it, was the plot was kind of
Mm.
all over the place, and I couldn't quite get it what the heck was going on. But I mean, the other thing to point out is that there is a Cree woman, a Cree leader, I guess, and she's very in a revenge mode against Captain Marvel, against Carol, because Carol came in to get rid of this AI, this master AI that was creating all this chaos with the Kree and the Skrulls and the whatever. And then and they called her the Annihilator on this planet called Hala, which is where the Kree, are. And so the in trying to do good, she actually made it worse. And then now this woman's coming after her and also trying to save her planet. So she's got one of these little bracelet thingies on, which also Kamala Khan has. I like I said, I didn't see Miss Marvel, so I feel like I might be at a little bit of miss to that. So if you guys haven't seen Miss Marvel, it might behoove you to check it out again, just to kind of give some context to this movie. Anyway, look, Marvel movies have started to wear thin, and I read this entire article about how they are spread thin, and that Kevin Feige, who's usually, who's the head honcho of the MCU, he's usually has been in the past, certainly with the first phase of all the great movies with the Iron Mans and whatnot, and the Avengers. He was very hands-on with the story. He was very hands-on with crafting it, particularly after the movie was made, and he would, do that. And apparently this time, since COVID and everything, I guess he's not as attentive to all of the scripts and I think he's been concentrating on the Disney Plus shows. Anyway, this is what I read, that he is not as involved as he used to be because he just doesn't have the time to do so. And I feel like that's one of the issues that's been happening with these Marvel movies, is that clearly they're not looking at they're not paying attention to the story like they used to. Obviously, even like the Pixars and the whatevers of the world, you have to at some point you can't just keep being on top, and Marvel is certainly starting to topple a bit. I didn't
A bit.
I didn't
I'm You notice how I'm trying to, yes.
I did not hate this movie. I thought it was going to, from the trailers, didn't have a whole lot of optimism for it. So my expectations were low going in, and it certainly, was kind of met some of those expectations of being not so great. But there were moments of the movie that I did enjoy. But I think overall it felt very slapdash. It felt very, I have to appreciate the runtime is only an hour and a half. So
yeah,
there was like I said, there were some aspects to it that I enjoyed. A couple of the planets they end up going to, the one where they have to sing all the time, I thought was funny. And there's cats.
oh boy. Okay.
There's cats. Which was introduced, I think, in Captain Marvel, the one cat.
Yeah, you're right.
Well, there's multiple cats in this. Yeah, so yeah, it misses the mark in a lot of ways. I particularly, I mean, and I hate to say this because I think she's a great actress, but Brie Larson she just felt so like one note and very like bland in this. I saw no, I didn't really love Captain Marvel Evil either, to be honest with you. That was not one of my most favorites. And it could just be because this character seems so cold and so, I don't know, she just doesn't, she's like devoid of fun, which is sort of some of the funny bits in this one was like the fact that she, doesn't seem to have a lot of fun. But I don't know, she just plays her so wooden. That's the word I'm thinking of, wooden. And it just takes away from it all. I actually really liked the the other two. I mean, I thought Kamala Khan, the Iman who plays that character, she's very cute. You know, she's a teenager. She's completely obsessed.
Aman Vellani.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
She's completely obsessed with Captain Marvel, you know, as far as fangirling out on that. And you know, she had some very cute moments, and her family dynamic was cute too. And you know, and I really liked Monica Tiana Paris's
Tiana Paris, yeah. Mm-hmm.
performance as well, but I really loved her in WandaVision too. So I like the character. Anyway, you know, the fact that these three are sort of similar in the way that they harness energy and that kind of thing, and then you know their powers get all mixed up together. The villain in this, played by, what's the actress's name? Who?
Zoe Ashton, Zawe Ashton, Zawe. I'm going with that's pronounced Zoe.
Yeah,
Ashton, or it could be Zoe. I'm not sure. I'd mean no disrespect if I screw up the name.
It's very also very you know, kind of ineffectual as far as a bad guy was concerned. She
yeah.
Top. Visually, I thought, you know, there were some things I liked, but I think also that's the other part of this article I read about Marvel's, you know, toppling, is that they've also just like the FX people are just not, you know, doing what they're supposed to be doing. I'm not sure. I mean, there's been many complaints about what was it, the Ant-Man, the last Ant-Man movie. There was like, you know, it looked really shoddy. So there's been a lot of complaints about the way, you know, the special effects looks, and I could see that a lot in this one too, kind of. Who directed this?
The person this was directed by
Nia DaCosta.
Nia DaCosta. Yeah, Nia DaCosta.
Who oh, okay. What else is she?
Nia DaCosta.
You can't even, oh, she's a writer too. You know, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily blame most of the problems that this film had on her direction. I thought, you know, it was okay, but it was just okay. It was, but the one thing I took away from it though is a little bit of excitement on what's to come.
What's to come where?
Like in the post-credit scenes.
What's to come where though? Like, that's a huge problem with me because, well, I'll get into that later. But what's to come where? On what? A movie, or is it on Disney Plus? Like, what's to come where? Like, that's my biggest problem.
Come in the storyline. You know, obviously, there's been a lot of talk about combining the X-Men, you know, universe into the Marvel.
There's supposed to be a Disney Plus show. So I was reading about that today.
Okay, well, that's kind of exciting, man. X-Men's one of my favorites.
I love X-Men as a movie, but I don't need I don't need an hour and a half movie advertisement for Disney streaming. But I'll get into that later.
Well, but yeah, I mean, he hated this movie, so I'm going to let you talk about it. So yeah, I was not necessarily, you know, walking away going, God, that was the worst.
Did you see it on your own, by the way? Like, did you see it? Oh, you did. Let's see. You and I chatted briefly yesterday. You were saying you were seeing it at night.
Yes.
Was it crowded?
Yeah.
Did you go to a 7:00 show or a 6:30 show or something? So, okay. So I went to a 3:00 show. It wasn't crowded. But I will give it leeway because it was 3:00. So schools are getting out at around that.
Yeah.
So, you know,
it was pretty crowded.
Kind of understood.
Enjoying it for the most part, but I wouldn't say that it was an overwhelmingly positive response to the film. Like really glad. Yeah. Except for when that little mid sequence thing came up. People seem to be pretty excited.
Yeah. We got applause for that. And then applause for the end of the movie. So
it was okay. I wouldn't say, you know, it's probably one of my least favorites of them all, but like I said, I wasn't a huge fan of Captain Marvel to begin with. And this certainly did not cement that character in my brain in any way, shape, or form. So,
Well, I was a big fan of Captain Marvel and of Brie Larson's getting into it. I could never figure out, there was a lot of hate, but we're going to get into, I don't know why there was so much hate against Brie Larson even before the movie had come out. While she was why she was picked. I think she's a great actress.
yeah, she is.
She's been at our show, I believe, the HCA and such. Well, the Marvels to me is a marvel of a mess. It really is. To me, it's the worst of the Marvel movies, and it's perhaps the worst movie of the year for me, because this is where we're at with the MCU. They've spiraled into silliness, incoherence, watered down characters, and such heavy reliance on Disney Plus streaming shows that if you either don't pay attention to them or forget about minutia that happened in one of their shows from years ago, aka WandaVision, you'll be, what the hell is going on here? And that's not the way movies should be made. And we talked about, when I read the plot, and that came right from the press notes, by the way, because I had a similar problem. I'm like, what the hell is this? Like, what do you mean that she was what do you mean that Captain Marvel reclaimed her identity from the Kree? Like, what's that? And then I'm thinking, was that maybe in Secret Invasion? Like, which was another Disney Plus show that I did not watch, and I could care less at this point about watching any of the stuff on streaming. But again, this has been a problem for the MCU. There's too much. They demand of their audience to not only watch, but to like get every single detail. And you talked about Monica Rambeau and everything, and I'm like, I completely forgot about her character from WandaVision and what happened to her. And like, why do I need to remember that? Like, this should, like, what I remember the character from Captain Marvel. And again, I think that there was a great I think there was a great superhero story in the Marvels. Okay. But this isn't what Captain Marvel was about. And none of this was in the Infinity War saga, but they don't care about the person who just goes to the movies. They really do demand upon the audience, oh, you're going to want to watch the television shows. You're going to love Winter Soldier, Captain of Hawk, Winter Soldier, and Mrs. Marvel or Miss Marvel. And that's not how movies work. It just isn't. And if you missed any one of those shows, and again, I can't speak for, I didn't watch Ms. Marvel, but I know that this character comes from there. I did watch WandaVision. How long ago was WandaVision? Wasn't that around pandemic time? Yeah. Because it gave us something to watch. Yeah. And I remember it was the first of their shows out of the gate. So there was a lot of talk about it. But here's my thing. And you can attest to this. You never have to watch an episode of Star Trek to understand the movies. You didn't have to. You don't have to. You never have to watch an episode of X-Files to understand the Scully-Mulder relationship, right? You never have to watch an episode of Mission Impossible to understand Ethan Hunt and the IMF's plight. You never have to. And that they don't relate, sure, they'll have nods back. Sure, Star Trek, the original series, Kirk, Spock, McCoy. But you get that dynamic pretty well in the movies. And they don't have to over-explain things to the person who may not have watched the series. Same goes for Next Generation and Picard. Same thing goes for even the reboot or reimagining of Star Trek. This is far too reliant. Too reliant on television.
Well, this is but this is what the MCU is moving towards. So when Endgame happened, they became it became an interwoven situation with Disney Plus. So that's why
I get it, but no, like it's a mistake. No, it clearly is a mistake because you can't, it doesn't work that way. And movies don't work that way. Movie going audiences, some people don't have that streaming, some people don't have Disney Plus. You can't go into writing a screenplay and assuming that your audience is going to know what the hell is going on. Like, I didn't get, like, what the hell was the space station that they were on? Like, what is
that was that again? That was Secret Invasion.
Okay, I didn't watch it. I right now I could care less, but there is no. I need, when you write a screenplay, you have to write for a movie going audience, not just the television audience. You could do a wink and nod and do an appreciation, but screenplay writing and movie writing, it doesn't work that way. It just doesn't. And that's part of the reason why the MCU is really in a horrible tailspin right now. I mean, they have another problem that's going on that in one way, shape, or form, they're going to have to address. And I don't know what they're going to do. I feel bad for them in that regard. And they're going to have to do something.
You're talking about Jonathan Majors?
Yeah, I didn't want to really go into it too much, but they're going to have to do something, right? We know this. So you can't demand of your audience to be up on your bazillion Disney streaming shows. And since Black Widow, and I've shouted this on rooftops, it's an insult to me that these movies are now becoming to our advertisements for their streaming content. Like, again, no, I'm not going to the movies so that you can start plugging me and start turning me to watch your Disney Plus shows. Like, no, keep it in the movies, and you can do it in a way if you have good writers who should be able to bring the idiots like myself who only go to the movies. And let's face it, I'm not alone in that. I'm not so special. Yes, there may be the Marvel fans who watch everything and every detail, and they can tell you all the stitching and the costumes, but there are a lot of people who just don't. And there is a superhero fatigue. I'm not making that up. And it's been evident in the box office grosses of these movies and the quality. You did say something at the very beginning. The MCU, the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Okay. Feige was involved. There was so heavily, they had everything so detailed out in making especially that phase 1 and even into phase 2, right? Everything leading up to Infinity War. Feige was so controlling over the stuff. They fired directors and writers if they didn't think that person was bringing what the MCU vision should be. Like Edgar Wright is probably famously known for being fired by Feige for Ant-Man. That's what they used to do. And now it just seems like it's almost done by committee. And it's obvious that they've lost, and I don't know what it is. Do they lose interest or whatever? I don't know. This movie, The Marvels, to me is a perfect example of everything that now is wrong within MCU. And I do want to talk about, because it wasn't just from a story perspective. What about characters? To me, Nick Fury has been a character you don't want to mess with.
Yeah.
Like this guy could shut Tony Stark down with a glare. Like when you see him in Captain America Winter Soldier, he is a bad guy. Like he's a bad armor. You don't want to mess with him.
Right.
And in this movie, he's like, I'm tossing out jokes. I'm Mr. Cool. I'm casual. I'm like, when the hell did he become a comedic? When did he become a comedian? Well, like, this is not the Nick Fury. Like, why do they water this character down? Like, I don't understand what happened. What did I miss? And because he was definitely not the hard ass he was in those previous movies. Now, let's talk Captain Marvel. They've had a Captain Marvel problem. I just think they do not know what to do with this character.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you why. In the Marvel universe, Captain Marvel is perhaps the strongest character in the Marvel universe. Now, I'm going to fortify this argument. I'm going to talk about a scene in this movie. The Captain Marvel does something in this movie that is so so amazing. Like she regenerates a sun with her powers,
Yes.
right?
Right.
She regenerates. Let's think about this. She regenerates a sun, a dying sun. She goes in and is a spark of life. She regenerates a sun and comes out of it. Poof, all right, I'm gonna what's for dinner? Not fatigued. That is a power. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't think they knew how to handle this, because when you watch a superhero regenerate a sun in which a civilization relies on, like, this person should have zero problem with Thanos and all of his like zero problem, and hence the character ends up getting more or less sidelined in the Infinity War. Like she's kind of non-existent.
Yeah.
Because you can't have a character that powerful that could really take her out. You know, I mean, at least Superman has some semblance of a weakness, which we've yet to learn about that for Carol Danvers.
True.
It's a problem. Like, they don't know what to do with her. So coming up, and again, relating it to the TV shows. Now, for good science fiction and good superhero movies, wouldn't this movie have been much better? And like, hear me out, and I think you'll appreciate. Wouldn't this movie be much better to have a superhero, Captain Marvel, who does something that has repercussions, who does something and admits she made a mistake,
right?
Because it had negative. She thought she was doing good, but it had a negative impact on a civilization, on a planet, and potentially the universe or the galaxy. And for a superhero to lament on that and to realize, shit, I messed up. I have this person coming after me. I did more harm than good.
Right.
I have to fix this.
Right.
So how many superhero movies do we have? Like, to me, that's a great thing, because we always put our superheroes up on a pedestal that they never make mistakes.
But for obviously with the Avengers and stuff, you know, Tony Stark's same kind of thing.
But look at his arc, right? It's a really great arc. So not only would you like, that would have been your A plot, and your B plot would have been the reunion with Rambo there, her niece, like her best friend's daughter, who she said, you know, I'm going to be back soon. And then all this stuff happened and she went away, and there was really good dialogue there. You know, when you said you were going to come back, you never came back. And when Carol Danvers is thinking about it, geez, yeah, I screwed up there too. How do I repair my personal life? Right. How do I take care of this person? How can I work together with her? If you pare that plot down, those are really good superhero stories and themes to go with. You did not need Miss Marvel, but they have Marvel themselves as a studio had such, like, they just didn't have faith in Captain Marvel. So it's like, oh, well, we've got Miss Marvel. Let's throw her in there. Oh, and let's throw, you know, Rambo's going to be in there anyways. And we got this villain that, like, okay, whatever. Like, they didn't spend enough time on her. And it just seems so disjointed. and out of place. And I'm sorry, the scene that you really liked, this like that took place on the planet that it was like Bollywood. I was like, wait a minute here. I go, oh, was this inspired? Oh, I could just see it now. It's like, hey, then Natu just won the Academy Award for Best Song. We should do that in our movie. We could do that too. And I was like, this is horrible. It's embarrassing. Like it
No,
had nothing to do with the movie. I didn't find it fun. And it was like,
I
wait, he got married? What? Like, what is going on? Throughout this movie, I'm like, what is going on here? Like, what do we need this for? Uh Look, I know that there was a troubled production. Apparently, there was a lot cut out of this movie. They had a hard time editing this movie, which is evident.
a lot of
I mean,
research.
there was a lot of reshoots. There's one scene. I don't know if you remember it. The villain here, um, Darban, has Captain Marvel in like a chokehold, and in the very next scene, Captain Marvel's like flying, and I'm like, what the hell happened? What did I miss? Like, I was like, wow. Again, it seems like it was a tough movie to cut or edit. I don't I can't blame direction on this movie, but I do blame Marvel. I blame Marvel like big time. They have not given this, they really did not know what to do with this character and how to handle it, because thematically, Captain Marvel was not like this at all. It wasn't this silly at all. I've been in and to the Marvel people out there, to the ones who are like going, Marvel has made a family film. I hate to break it to you all. They're all considered family films.
Yeah.
Like they all are.
Yeah.
Not this one specifically. They've all been considered family films. Think of their release times. And how many times have you gone to a theater and actually it's kind of cute to be, I'm gonna be honest. I've gone to some of these Captain America movies and you see the little kids dressing up
Yeah.
like as their superhero movies. That's kind of cute. I like that, right? They've all been family films, folks. This is not the first Marvel family film
No.
to come out. So.
But my issue is if maybe Brie Lawrence's performance was suffered from all the reshoots and the cuts and stuff. That could very well be, because you're right. I think they could have handled some of that, sort of some deep introspectiveness that she had to that she could have done, and Brie would have handled that like a champ. But for whatever reason, all of that stuff just didn't hit home with me for her, because I mean, they do mention, oh, this was kind of my fault, blah blah blah. Yeah, and I'm sorry, I'm sorry I didn't come back, but by the way, I was helping save the world and you blipped away. And I mean, I don't know, that just didn't seem like a big enough conflict between
No.
and and her and Rambo. I was like, well, yeah, I didn't come back. Hello. I don't think I should have felt guilty for that. My
Right.
But I mean, I don't know. It was just it just lacked. I mean, I thought some of it was fun, and you didn't, but I did. I thought some of it was fun, and some of the comedy that was thrown in there. Obviously, the Miss Marvel thing she was put in there because it looks like she's going to be forming her own team. There's a scene towards the end there that happens. That must be season 2.
Another advertisement for a Disney Plus show. I mean, like, and again, I'm going to go back to, again, this is something I've been yelling off a screen to like rooftops. Like, this is a problem. And like Iger just within the past week or so announced $1 billion, like, nope, we are cutting back on this content. We're cutting back. It's too much. And it is, pardon me, it is too much.
Yeah.
You can't have, I have a trivia question for you. I have a trivia question for you and our audience about television and movies, but you can't be so and expect your audience to be like sitting down and studying every bit of your television shows and making a movie. That's just not how movies work. And I don't know how they forgot this integral peace. And I guess you're but yeah, I mean, you're right. Brie Larson could have knocked that out of the park because there is a guilt involved, and
Yeah,
and
and
as a
you didn't really
right,
see a whole lot of it because
no,
it got you, like I said, got bogged down into the sort of superficialness of it. It didn't dig deep. Which, and ironically, and this again, this article, I should have sent it to you. I think it was Hollywood Reporter or something.
sure,
About Marvel. But ironically, the movie that did do well this summer was Guardians of the Galaxy 3, and that's because James Gunn, his last movie, and it didn't spin off of anything else, and it was just a standalone wrap up to a great story, and another family. And
right.
so that's it. I think maybe the fact that if now Bob Iger's saying that they are cutting down on that might actually be good for Kevin Feige and his team. He can go back to doing what he does really well, is taking, why don't you let the people do the TV series, let them, and you concentrate on the movies, so.
But stop with the integration.
Yeah.
Like, stop with the integration, because that is the biggest problem. When you start demanding of your audience, you got to watch all these shows so that you understand the movies.
Exactly.
No. And again, I think Star Wars has at least taken that route, because The Mandalorian stands on its own.
Yeah.
Right, like it does. Like, you don't need to see the movies to understand what's happening. The Mandalorian and what was the last one that just happened? I forget. Oh, Ahsoka. Like, Ahsoka was. I mean,
but
it was
actually, Ahsoka
to
kind of came
Rebels.
to Rebels. Yeah.
Yeah, Rebels. And was in Mandalorian, but like, you didn't. It wasn't so tied into the movies
Right.
that have to do this stuff. So,
Yeah,
but
all you
Marvel
have
is
to
just
know is where it fit in the timeline. That's all you needed to know.
that's it.
That's
That's it.
it.
And even if you didn't know, you could easily look it up if you were
Yeah.
curious. But if you didn't know, you're like, I don't care. You either like it or don't like it. But you didn't need this information to enjoy either a movie or the television show, where I think that, look, it's a grand idea to try to interconnect all this stuff, but ultimately it just doesn't work, and it's proving it doesn't work. And again, Marvel shouldn't, or Kevin Feige, they shouldn't have fallen into that anti-Brie Larson fan crap that happened, because this happened before you saw the movie, before I saw the movie. People were just anti Brie Larson, and I don't know why. I don't know what she did in life to get,
Yeah.
like, she won an Academy Award.
No.
She directed a kind of cute movie. Um, she seems like a good person.
Yeah.
So I don't get it.
Something happened. You're right, and I can't remember what it was now. Something did.
But people were against Captain Marvel well before Captain Marvel came out, but it's still going to end up doing better than this. And I think it was almost as if Marvel Studios, like, they just bowed down to and this is a small faction. It's just they yell the loudest and the most, and they kind of listen. It's like, oh, well, because she is deserving enough of a standalone sequel. And again, the Rambeau character makes sense because she was in Captain Marvel.
Yes.
So that reunion makes sense, right?
Yes, absolutely.
And she could have had her own standalone. It's like, geez, we didn't know so many people hated Brie Larson. Oh, so instead of calling it like Captain Marvel, we got the Marvels. We got to bring in more people and try to take the focus away from Captain Marvel. And I think that's, again, you just don't know what to do with one of your characters in the pantheon of Marvel people, because she can re-spark us. Like, come out of it like, I gotta get my nails done.
Yeah. And I do feel bad for Brie Larson, because I feel like that affected her performance. I mean,
it probably did. And, but don't feel too bad, because I'm sure her ATM balance checks out perfectly.
Yeah.
So, right. As well as Samuel L. Jackson, who right now his character's just relegated to dopey
Well,
one-liner.
Secret Invasion was kind of interesting because that's the whole. See, again, you have to. Sometimes you do have to kind of look back because I know he blipped, but then I think at the end of, Captain Marvel, wasn't he not really him or something? He was a Skrull. I can't remember exactly the deal, but he ended up having to kind of put somebody else in his place on Earth because he was going to go up to this space station thing.
He was like on vacation somewhere.
No,
I don't know.
for that. Anyway.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I know the story of Secret Invasion from the comic books.
Yeah.
I didn't. I was like, I don't care. I can't do it. I got I got other things to do like sleep.
Well, I hate to ask, but what would your star rating be on this then?
Oh, this is a I gave this movie the finger. This is a 1 star. This is the one finger I get. It made me angry. I'm still angry about it. I just such disservice to Brie Larson and the character, and it's just not fair, and it's so discombobulated and unnecessary. Like, these characters are thrown in here thinking, oh, they're from TV. Which reminds me, here's my trivia question, by the way, is can you think of a movie? Because usually the norm has been historically that you go from small screen to big screen, right? I mentioned a couple of them. I mentioned a couple of shows that went from the small screen and they try to go to the big screen. Charlie's Angels is another one. The Fall Guy is another one. Oof, did you see that trailer? Oofa. In any case, so that's traditionally the way that it goes. Rarely does it go the other way around. Now, Animal House tried to do it. They had Animal House, then they had a short-lived show called Delta Tau Kai, or Delta House. Bad News Bears had a short-lived series. So sometimes they try to go from big to small. Marvel has tried to do it. What's the age? Shield.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Shield, and who's the actress that we like? Who's the actress that we like that was in Mission Impossible? Agent Carter, which actually was a decent show, short-lived for the most part. But can you name a movie that actually, after its theatrical success, went to the small screen and was even a bigger success on television than it was in the movie theaters? Now, I have one. I can think of one.
Okay.
And that's really about it. But think about it, because this is our of television. And it was huge on TV, by the way. It's huge. In fact, I still believe it holds a record.
MASH.
MASH is it. Knew you could do it. Yay.
Yeah, MASH.
Well, MASH made that leap. It went from theatrical movie, Robert Altman film, great reviews, great performances, funny movie, but it had forget how many seasons on television.
Huge.
And I think I believe that it still has the highest. It's the final episode is the highest rated television episode of all time. I still believe that holds true today. I may be wrong. Somebody can double check me if I'm wrong. I apologize. So, anyways, MASH. Yeah. There you go.
MASH. Yeah. Actually, so, Steve, my husband, he's here. Hey, poke your head in for a second.
Hey.
Hey.
Can you think, besides MASH, can you think of a movie, a big movie that actually did pretty well theatrically that went on to have an amazing television run besides MASH?
Besides MASH. Boy, I didn't know there'd be a test.
I know, I didn't either. But I got it. I got MASH.
She did. After about 50 hints, she got it. No.
Oh, are you kidding? That's a layup.
It's a layup. No, she did really well. I didn't give her 50. It was more like 49. I can't think of another television show. I can't think of another movie that went from movie to small screen and became more successful as a television series than it ever did become. And it was a successful movie, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Right. Maybe
so-
Fours.
Yes. Wait, what?
All right, you're gone.
Okay. thank
You're
you.
out.
Nice
Okay.
to see you.
I would give this Marvel, I would give it 2.5 stars because, like I said, there's some things to it that I enjoyed. I did have a bit a little fun, but not enough to make it be like, stand out in any way, shape, or form. So 2.5 for me.
And for all those people who say we always agree,
We don't.
there's another show. We don't. And you know what? We still love each other. Why you love me, I have no freaking idea. But
Well-
I'm happy. I'm happy that you do.
Now it seems to me that we have never had it where I loved a movie, you hated a movie. Usually we're kind of in the same wavelength. Sometimes,
That's fair.
yeah.
That's very fair. But you know what? Even if it came down to that someday, it wouldn't change. And actually, I hope that the both of us, dear audience, inspires you to be the same way.
Yeah.
That you can have these great conversations about movies, but the movies, regardless of whether you agree and or disagree, they should still continue to bring you together.
Yeah.
In a great fun way. Like, the only thing that's missing right now is that we're not talking about this over like mozzarella sticks and beer or Mai Tai and Masubi.
Absolutely.
So like movies should bring you together, whether or not you agree or disagree, and try to be open. I have to tell you, Kit, there have been many a times that we've talked about movies where we may have disagreed, like today, right? Not a huge schism, but you've made me think of things in a different light. And that's the way that's the way your conversation, dear audience, should be with other people. Seriously, somebody
If you love a movie or you love something that you want people to share in your love for it, then you tell someone, hey, you got to see this movie. You got to see it. I think you'd really like it. I mean, obviously, your friends and your family and what they might or might not like, but that's, also a good way of word of mouth. Word of mouth always works. Always works.
it always works. So listen to the woman. She listen to her. She almost knows what she's talking about, and I agree with her. No, no, I almost know what she's talking about. She very much knows what she's talking about. We will. I don't know what our next movie is going to be.
I think we'll probably end up doing sort of a Thanksgiving release weekend podcast. I think that'll be the next
I
one.
think so, probably.
So I know there are a few films coming up, and then soon, probably in the next month or so, we'll do an Oscar. Talk about
do an Oscar, our back 9, or say our favorite movies of the back 6, and then look forward in December our favorite movies of the year and our least favorite movies of the year. I got to be honest. Those were some of my favorite At the Movies or Siskel and Ebert episodes, especially their worst movies of the year. It always made me laugh. I always love that stuff. This one, you already know, folks, this is going to top my list perhaps, but I always love that stuff. And people seem to like what we do. Yeah, folks, please tune in, share this with other people. Please have people follow Kit Bowen. How can they find you, Kit? Where are you?
I'm on the X, I guess, if you have to call it. At the Movie Kit. So the Movie Kit is my my handle, and also have I have a YouTube channel too, but I haven't really posted much on it. But this has been my sort of primary focus because I love Dimitri and this has been so much fun. So, but yes,
it has fun.
And then on Instagram, I'm Kachono. I don't have a Movie Kit on the Instagrams, but I do post on the stories on that. So
awesome. And you can find me on the X and on Instagram at Dimitri Panos. That's DEMETRIPANOS LMNOP. On both Instagram, I try to make it easy for you to find me either way. And of course, KDM has its site as well on YouTube. Please, again, please feel free to comment wherever we post as well, whether it be on X or whether it be on Instagram. You can comment there, but comment on our YouTube page, and try to be as friendly and as fun as Kit is. I'm not friendly or fun. She is.
Dimitri.
Try to be
You can
as
follow-
friendly and fun. We
also-
it's
Here,
go ahead.
Dimitri on his own with his YouTube channel. So
Sure.
Yeah.
The Cinescope, which I haven't posted in a little while, but the strike is over.
Yay.
There'll be more stuff going on. And Kit, as always, it's I always love doing this. They always seem too few and far in between. I know that you have a very busy schedule, that you travel the country like crazy, but I'm glad you're back. Glad we got to do this show. Can't wait till we figure out what our next show will be. And it's always a pleasure. It really I'm glad we took our dynamic of going to the movies together.
Bye, Steve.
Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Oh,
Great. That's a good one. That's a good one. You win. We got a prize for you. And that is just us saying you win. Buffy the Vampire. Yes.
that's the vampire Slayer.
Not as big as MASH.
No.
but
No, but it had a very, it did it did okay in theaters,
Right.
but it had a far more successful run
on TV.
on television. I mean, what was it? 7 seasons?
Yeah.
5? Yeah, it had a lot. Far more. Good
Good
call.
one. Good
So, but
Right.
but that goes to my point. It's very rare
Yes.
that this happens, right?
Yeah.
And this is what Marvel is not cognizant of.
Yeah.
They,
They're
so,
not getting-
anyways, thank you very much
Okay.
for, thanks
Thank
for
you.
that, Buffy the Vampire Slayer. We'll talk to you all later. Thanks. Enjoy your lunch. Enjoy your day. Have a great weekend, all.
Bye-bye.
Go to the movies. Bye.